Howdy folks, welcome to the news for the 29th of August. Up first, do you remember PT? You know that corridor-based horror game that was great, scary, and Konami completely wiped it off the face of the planet? That was kind of a sad time for all of us, but out of the game's rubble came an announcement that an independent spiritual Kickstarter to the game was actually being made, called Allison Road. A similar game in which you wander around a photorealistic house as things slowly get weirder and weirder until shit basically breaks loose. That would have been quite the game. But it too was similarly cancelled back in 2015. Well, apparently not anymore, as it's actually miraculously been revived. The creator of the project, Christian Welsler, announced back on August 22nd that Allison Road would return under the title of Far From Home, and retain all the creepy suspenseful imagery as we saw with the gameplay demo all so long ago. No release date has been given for the game, but the creator emphasises that he is still as passionate about making the game as he was at the beginning when he started it. He's hoping that it doesn't bite the dust again. And speaking of things biting the dust, do you remember the Duke? Well, if you do, don't, or just don't want to, he'll be making some form of a comeback if his website tells us anything. If you go onto Duke Nukem's website and fail the age verification page, you'll be greeted with a mysterious countdown, which, as of currently writing this, has 7 days to go. To what it's counting down to, I have no idea, but fans are speculating that it could mean either a new game to be announced or a remastering of the 1996 hit Duke Nukem 3D. To add to the hype, Randy Pitchford, the head of Gearbox Software, has posted a tweet reading, "The King is back, line up ladies." Hopefully this can reinvigorate the currently sterile Duke Nukem franchise, whose last outing into the players' homes was a rather flaccid flop that was a Duke Nukem forever. Hopefully whatever they announce in the week's time is something to turn our attention to, rather than turn our heads away from. Well folks, that's me with the gaming news. Don't forget to hit that like button and maybe leave a comment. Now on to our man Ethan with Tech.
Thanks CJ. Hello ladies and or gentlemen. Ethan here once again for the tech news. First up we have Octobot. Something different from the usual hard mechanical robot. It's a 3D printed autonomous soft robot crafted exclusively of flexible parts. Made at Harvard, they call it the Octobot, the first autonomous entirely soft robot. The movement of its arms is caused by a reaction that turns hydrogen peroxide into a gas that inflates the arms, making them jiggle and wave like that of a real octopus. Robert Wood of Harvard's Wyss Institute for Biology-Inspired Engineering said, "The struggle has always been replacing the rigid components like batteries and electronic controls." Basically, he explains that this robot is a simple foundation to be expanded on for different tasks, such as swimming, climbing, and interacting with the environment. Who knows, maybe they'll become manufactured as cheap toys one day, having smart little AI octopus pets. It's happening. Airborne pizza deliveries. Over in New Zealand in Auckland, the giant pizza company Domino's shows off their pizza delivery drones as part of their new friendship with the US drone service called Flirty. Them pesky damn New Zealanders getting it first. I need my airborne pizza, damn it! One of the main reasons it's starting in New Zealand is because there aren't as many airborne drone restrictions, making it easier to avoid legal issues. Drones, man, soon they'll be everywhere. Wait, what if these drones had hypersonic technology, which can deliver pizza multiple times faster than the speed of sound? Hypersonic airborne pizza. Well, an Australian and US military research team tested down in South Australia a rocket that can reach speeds of 9,200 km per hour, or 5,715 miles. Normally a 20-hour trip from Sydney to London, but with this rocket, it got there in 2. Australian Chief Scientist Alex Zensky said in a statement, "It's a game changer in technology, and it could revolutionise global air travel." 10 tests will be run in total, with the first occurring back in 2009 and the final one scheduled for 2018. Let's hope they team up with Domino's too, eh? That's all we have this week for tech news. Now to Davis with the entertainment news.
Thanks Ethan, and welcome to all for some entertainment news. I don't feel like I've been hit by a bus anymore, which doesn't suck. So let's jump straight in with some superhero stuff. When it was revealed that the directors most famous for directing the television comedy Arrested Development were going to direct the sequel to Captain America: The First Avenger, it was met with a healthy dose of skepticism. However, knocking it out of the park with Captain America: Winter Soldier, they earned some breathing space and trust from Marvel fans. The next film that they were given was the mega hit Captain America Civil War, which has received critical, fan, and commercial praise. Now, the Russo brothers have effectively taken over Joss Whedon as the showrunners of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and will be directing the next 2 Avengers sequels, Infinity War and the Untitled Avengers film, formerly known as Infinity War Part 2. The directing duo talked about how the events of Civil War have shaped what will come soon in the upcoming Infinity War sequel, specifically the Avengers team dynamic. Because Zemo was successful in his mission for fracturing the team, the entire galaxy may be at risk when Thanos gets his hands on the Infinity Gauntlet. Whoops, spoiler alert. Part of what excited us about how we could end Civil War, and the fact that there is this divide between Cap and Tony and their friendship that will be very, very difficult for them to repair, the fact that the Avengers are divided in 2, and half of them are now wanted by the law, and the other fact that are not too comfortable with their fate moving forward, and the fact that Thanos and the Infinity War are coming. The greatest threat that the universe has ever seen is going to come at a moment where the Avengers are arguably at their lowest, at their worst, at their least strong and most divided since they've been formed. That for us has been a very exciting place for us to be as the storytellers because of the vulnerable nature of our heroes in that kind of a situation. For us, as we move forward into Infinity War, the condition of the Avengers is very much an important part of how the story starts and what dangers they face moving forward, said Joe Russo. The Russo brother also talked about how they are building on the previous films every single time, playing the groundwork for the next film. From the point of view of Joe and I, we think about all these movies as a continuity. The story that we told in Winter Soldier set the basis for the story we told in Civil War, and the story that we told in Civil War is again laying the groundwork for the story that we are going to be telling in Avengers Infinity War. For us, there's a narrative, continuity between the movies, and each movie is in many ways setting the stage for that one that follows. For us, we have a very specific through line for all these movies, Anthony Russo. With the success of each film, the more we expect from these 2 directors. They have already knocked it out of the park for their first 2 MCU movies. Their work on Civil War shows that they can effectively handle an ensemble superhero film, which is very difficult. Let's hope they can continue to impress us with these upcoming films. Avengers Infinity War comes to theaters May 4th, 2018. The big budget modern day reboot of Power Rangers is set for a 2017 release. The cast and crew are keeping the details of their movie under wraps as much as possible. However, Bryan Cranston, most popular for Breaking Bad and Malcolm in the Middle, who is set to play Zordon, has admitted his reluctance to taking the role and shed some light on the reporters that this isn't his first rodeo where Power Rangers is concerned. Preliminary reports suggest that the Lionsgate live-action reboot is gearing up to be a smash at the next year's box office. This updated imagining seems to be driven by nostalgic trends and coupled with a huge budget. Director Dean Israelite, I hope I'm saying that right, has stated that this is going to be a very much more grounded reboot, and that no expense has been spared when it comes to the new Weta Workshop suit designs. Bryan Cranston is no stranger to the Power Rangers. He has been credited as having performed various voiceover parts for some of the monsters and reportedly even dressed up in costume for the Saban-owned franchise. Since his casting, he has been giving interviews in the build-up to the film release on March 24, 2017. And he has stated that he is uneasy about taking on the role. He goes to say, "At first I was, to be honest with you, I was reticent to looking at the role because I remember the television series was kind of farcical and silly, and pow and zow, weird movements and things like that. I was like, oh, okay. I talked to the producer and he said, do you know the Batman television series that transformed into being the Batman movie series? Could not be more different from each other. Well, that's exactly what this movie is going to be." Cranston has also suggested that the Blue Ranger, played by David Yost, was named Billy Cranston after him. In an IGN interview in 2009, Cranston is said to have stated that he is not a fan of having the character named after him. He says, and I quote, "He's the Fey one, that's the problem." 7 years later, and his remark has all but been forgotten, except for one of the original Rangers. When asked about his feelings on the Cranston casting, David Yost tweeted, "Not cool, I am not a fan of homophobes." And lastly today, everyone's favourite Ragin' Cajun can't seem to catch a break. While the Gambit movie has the potential to entice fans, production took a big hit when the film's director Doug Liman stepped down. By all appearances, the break seems to be mutual. However, the movie has already had a troubled start. This makes the second director that has left the project. This comes after a filming schedule has already been decided on. Fear not, for Channing Tatum is still reported to be on board with portraying Gambit on the big screen. Also, Josh Zetuma from the 2014 version of RoboCop is still pegged to write the script. However, this is the second time the embattled movie has lost its director. Rupert Wyatt was the first director to jump ship when he left production in September of 2015. Other delays have plagued the film, but the loss of the director may spell doom for Mr. Remy LeBeau. Fox Studios had previous troubles with another superhero movie director, with controversy surrounding Josh Trank and his claims that the studio heavily interfered with the critically panned Fantastic Four reboot. No one has any idea when the movie is coming out, and with this recent development there is no guarantee that it will ever get made at all. Which is a shame, because until another Gambit movie is made, the only big screen credit Gambit has is from the X-Men Origins Wolverine. And that's going to be it for this week. Give us your feedback on all the stuff we've shared today. And as always, from all of us here, stay awesome.